Waiting for the final board member. Okay, everyone is here now. I think we're ready to start, Chair.
All right, you can hear me?
Yes.
And I've got a somewhat unstable reception up here, so if at some point I freeze or there's otherwise interference, let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right, well, good morning and welcome to the New York City Campaign Finance Board's public meeting for September 2020. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes for the meeting of August 20, 2020. I move the approval of the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. One abstention, thank you. The motion carries. The next item of business. So on September 3, its second round of public matching funds payments to Queensborough president candidates on the general election ballot. To date, 2 candidates have received a total of $226,334 in public financing for November's race. This follows more than $4 million in payments to Queensborough president candidates for the primary election in June. The 2020 elections have been tumultuous, to say the least. We have seen elections postponed and even canceled. The pandemic has forced candidates to reinvent how they raise campaign funds and how they communicate with the voters. The public funds provided by the CFB and the Campaign Finance Program are essential to ensuring city voters have the competitive, robust election contests that they deserve. The 2021 mayoral race has been getting more competitive as a number of candidates have launched their campaigns in recent weeks. We will be looking ahead to the first public funds payments to qualifying mayoral candidates and other city candidates in December. Those payments will be based on disclosures filed by the campaigns in July. The next campaign finance disclosure filing for the 2021 elections is due in January. I will now turn to Naomi Zauderer for her report from the CFB's Voter Assistance Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Chair Schaefer. Today marks 37 days until early voting poll sites open for New Yorkers to cast their ballots in the 2020 presidential election. The Voter Assistance Advisory Board and the CFB's NYC Votes initiative is working hard to make sure all New Yorkers are prepared to vote in an election cycle that's like none other in recent history. I am excited to announce that NYC Votes has partnered with TurboVote to launch an online voter registration platform for city voters. Anyone with a DMV ID will be registered seamlessly with that system. Any voter who does not have a state ID will receive a pre-filled registration form in the mail after completing the online process. All that they will need to do is sign and return the form in the self-addressed stamped envelope that comes with the form. Short of a full online platform, this solution with TurboVote will streamline the registration process for new voters. We are very excited to launch this new platform and want to thank the TurboVote for their dedication to serving New York voters. There have been many changes made at the state level intended to make voting more accessible and safe. All voters are eligible to request a mail-in ballot online by visiting nycabsentee.com. Voters may also track their mail-in ballot application and their ballot up to when it is counted by the Board of Elections by visiting nycabsentee.com/tracking. Secure drop-off boxes will be stationed at all early voting and election day poll sites throughout the 5 boroughs, where voters may drop off their signed and sealed ballots if they choose. And early voting will open on Saturday, October 24th and run through Sunday, November 1st. We are encouraging all New Yorkers to vote early or via mail-in ballot to help make sure all New Yorkers are able to vote safely in this important election. Choosing one of these options will help the Board of Elections cut down on long lines and make it easier to maintain social distancing at the polls on Election Day. With those considerations in mind, NYC Votes has announced an exciting partnership with Link NYC to spread the word about voting options this fall. We are calling for New York City-based artists to submit voting-themed artwork to appear on Link NYC kiosks throughout the city. Go to our social media accounts at NYC Votes to learn how you can submit your art and help provide New Yorkers with the info they need to cast their ballots this fall. Before passing the baton to CFB's Executive Director, Amy Loprest, I would like to recognize our initial class of NYC Votes We Power New York City ambassadors who've helped us reach young New Yorkers with important election info over the last several months, a time when reaching young people has become increasingly difficult. Many of these young voting advocates will be staying on to continue to help us this fall, but as the summer has drawn to a close, we want to send each of the ambassadors our sincerest gratitude and appreciation for the hard work they've contributed this summer. From hosting public hearings to going live on Facebook, all of your work has helped us move closer to our goal of lifting up the voices of underrepresented New Yorkers. For that, we thank you. I will now turn it over to Amy Loprest.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't have very much to say. I just want to note that this we've marked the 6 months of working remotely. We have, very much perfected our systems from training to reviewing, to accepting disclosure statements, to reviewing those disclosure statements. And I just want to mark my appreciation of the staff who, through this difficult time have continued to provide the excellent service that candidates and voters expect from the Campaign Finance Board. With that, we are continuing our preparations for the 2021 election. The number of registered candidates increases every day towards what we anticipate will be between 400 and 500 candidates running for office in 2021. With that, I turn it back to the chair.
Thank you. Our next order of business is the announcement of compliance.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Candidate from the 2017 elections has completed the post-election audit process without any violations and penalties assessed by the Campaign Finance Board. The board recognizes the diligence of the candidate and his campaign staff in running a campaign in compliance with New York City's campaign finance law. This candidate, first-time candidate with the CFB. The candidate is Richard David, who was a candidate for City Council District number 28. Our next item of business is a candidate appearance. The candidate in question is Hilal Sheikh, and so I would ask that candidate and or representative to log in or appear, and also the staff attorney and or audit staff person from the CFB.
Good morning, Chair Schaefer, members of the board, Executive Director Loprest, and Mr. Sheck. I'm Joseph Gallagher, Senior Associate Counsel for the CFB, and appearing remotely with me today is Julius Diaz, an auditor at the CFB. Before the board this morning is the matter of the Hilal Sheikh campaign in the 2017 primary election for City Council District 32 in Queens. The campaign was a participant in the program and received public funds. CFB staff recommends that the board find the campaign committed the following 5 violations of the Act and board rules: failing to report a transaction in a daily pre-election disclosure statement, failing to document transactions, failing to demonstrate that spending was in furtherance of the campaign, making impermissible post-election expenditures, and filing a late response to the draft audit report. The campaign contests these violations and penalties.
There's some background noise, so, okay, that's better now. Mr. Sheikh, the floor is now yours to make any presentation that you would like. There may be some questions from members. Whoops. Have we lost Mr. Sheikh?
Good morning.
Oh, there
Good
you are.
morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just to say that maybe some questions from members of the board. We may ask for some reply from Mr. Gallagher. And then when you're all finished, we will go into deliberations, after which we will announce our decision. So please proceed.
Good morning, the board and all of you. My name is Halal Sheikh. Well, number one, I have the first one is filing to report a transaction in a daily pre-election transaction disclosure statement. I already submitted my documentation, which is I mentioned with campaign finance, which is I didn't know this thing. Besides that, I would like to add this part. If you see on the Brown Miller their invoice, the one I submitted, that document has like a first payment, second payment, third payment. They combine all those money, because I also, by the way, I also ran for 2013. I didn't receive $1 fine or anything because I was very concerned for this thing myself. I always watch all these things. For 2013 race also, I didn't get any fine. But this time for this one, 2017 race, what happened is when I get my matching fund, that time also, even though my 75 or 70, threshold, everything, I put it on time and everything was correct. But some reason on the document from the campaign finance side, they said they didn't get it, even though I mentioned I gave them everything. And later on, I went to the boss of the campaign finance, I forget name. So, and then they address that 5 thing was taken care of. So that reason they gave my fund whatever time I supposed to get it. The other people, when they get it, I didn't get it that time. I think it's a week, 2 weeks or something was late, even though my document, everything was there. Later on, the campaign finance found that thing anyway, but it was some sort of error. So, and as I said, the invoice has a first payment, canvas shift, second, third, fourth payment, all the payment they added up together. That's how that bill comes $24,550, which is they send me all this, which is they're supposed to give me the bill early, but because of that fund, they combine all together. That the part I would like to add for this violation number 1, and I'm requesting to the board to consider to waive that fees, please.
And if I may, sorry, Mr. Sheikh, I just wanted to say that it includes all aggregate expenditures in the rules. So even if the expenditures are invoiced separately, you aggregate all expenditures that are made to one vendor in the 14 days preceding an election. And the intention of the campaign to file or not is not the reason for any penalty.
So that's why I'm requesting, because as I said, my thing is like together they put it all together with the one invoice on that time, first, second, third payment. You can see on the invoice. So all these comes together, and they send me the late, and that is the reason was that check was this. And even though, which is that situation I didn't face before the prior election, and I wasn't aware of it. So that is, I would like to say. So that is the reason. Requesting, I'm asking for considering for waive that one, please.
Okay, please proceed.
And the next one was filing to document a transaction. So the second one, which is also I am contested, because that is the Dawat restaurant and the other. I have all the the receipt and everything, but some reason, which is the campaign is saying like your bank record is not matching, which is honestly, I don't know how that happened, but I think it's some sort of mistaken, could be from the campaign side. The reason I am saying that one, because I have on my file has on my document, all the document has on that time, I had a 32. My name was Halal Sheikh campaign, but the document has a Eric Ulrich 2032 candidate. Different candidate name was with my documentation, and some other pages also was something also. Later on, I bring it to the campaign auditor, my auditor attention, and then he sent me email also, and he was apologizing for that error, how that happened, and that thing. So I know I see that thing, but I don't believe how that happened. They're saying according to the bank record is not matching, but as my understanding, I didn't take any dollar from in kind or anybody knowledge of my knowledge who participate me or give me any money from there. So I am assuming maybe it was from the beginning, it was some sort of, it could be error, because the one error already on my document has, as I mentioned, Eric Ulrich councilman name was on my document, and I was bringing it to my liaison as well as my auditor. And then later on, they email it to me, not only one page, some other pages also, I see some other, different, some error as well, which is, it was in the campaign's record as well. So then later on, my liaison, he emailed it to me and he addressed me. He says, I'll fix it, and he fixed it on that thing. But that one was long time after the audit, almost the draft audit timing. So that is the reason also I am requesting for that. That thing is, I think is some sort of error somewhere.
Mr. Sheikh, the issue here is that the evidence you submitted consisted of the front of the checks. And the question that was raised was whether the Wat restaurant ever deposited, whether you in effect paid that bill. And so is there evidence, do you have evidence that the DeWatt restaurant actually cashed or deposited that check? Because all the staff had was a copy of the front of the check.
That I don't have. I asked them, this is that, that gentleman, the manager, he says, look, we don't have any record. I went one time and I was asking, is there any way, can you give me something? And he says, we don't have anything.
But your bank record should have a reduced balance or a debit for those checks, but the bank statements that the staff received don't reflect that. So it looks like the restaurant never deposited those checks. That's the problem. Do you have any updated bank statement that shows the debit for those checks?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to continue?
Yes, please. Now, number three, failing to demonstrate the spending was furthermore of the campaign. Okay, this one, actually, I already explained it to on my the respond, which is the car was towed, which is a campaign was saying like $169. And the other 500 some changes, those money actually, when I started the campaign, as I remember, I was very early. I started almost like a 8 month prior. I started raising the money, something like that, long time ago. So those ticket also, like at least 3 or 4 ticket, I also got it. One I do remember on my head, I went to the Manhattan for pick up some check. Somebody was telling me to come and pick it up, and I went there, and somehow I got one ticket over there in Manhattan. something like that. I have a 2-3 ticket was for when I raising the money on that time that happened, and some reason I forget, and I didn't go for the court or anything, and those are the ticket was accumulated late and other thing, and that's how that $500 was added up. That's how 742 altogether. But then campaign was asking me to go and get that receipt. I mean, I gave partial receipt. The other part I wasn't able to provide it, because honestly, actually, it was, I went one time and it was I see I have to wait big long waiting, and so I came back from the campaign. I mean, where is the consumer in? I mean, where the ticket receipt I have to pick it up. In Subtain Boulevard. So it was a big line. I came back, and after that, I have my house totally was under construction, and then I could not further go again, and I cannot get it. And then when I was thinking after that there's a pandemic and I got sick, so that I am requesting to the board, is there, can you please waive that ticket for me as well?
I would just say, Chair and the board, sorry, Mr. Schick, that if the campaign was able to document when the tickets were and tied them to specific campaign events, we would consider, based on the documentation, those to be campaign related. The only documentation we received was the one booted notification, which is included in the exhibits. And the fact that this was Mr. Scheck's personal vehicle that he was using throughout the campaign, it's just impossible for us to know whether those tickets that resulted in the boot, and also there are an additional $570 approximately in post-election expenditures made to for the New York Payment Center as well. So it's just impossible for us to know if those were ticketed in on the campaign or on the car in a personal capacity or the campaign capacity.
Understood.
Well, I mean, as I say, even though my car, actually, I totally A to Z I use for the campaign. I usually don't use, because my wife, by the way, she's a physician. When she go to the hospital, she goes by the Uber or all the time. That's how she go and back. And I use for my campaign purpose for that car. So that's, I'm bringing it to your attention as well.
Thank you.
And number four, making impossible post-election expenditure. Yeah, this one I am admitting, this one was, I think, some sort of misunderstanding on my side. So I am accepting this one, but I am requesting to the board, if is there any way, can you please reduce the fine for me? And number four. And should I go next? Okay. Number five. Yeah, number five, filing the late response. That is the one I'm totally, I don't want take it, because I already on the letter I explained it. And also I want to mention, which is when I was asking for the extension, which is the campaign, my auditor, Mr. Diaz, who gave me the 61 days extension, but the due to my house was total renovation. It was like a upside down everything. It was like a whole house down. So in that sense, from the day first extension when it started, I was asking, even though I spoke with my liaison, Mr. Jonathan Ekman, and a couple of times I text him, I mean emailed him, I spoke with him directly, and I said, this is 2 weeks, even 2 months, 3 months is not gonna, I need at least straight 6 months. I need it because I didn't have even internet. I mean, totally my house, I was living on the basement. Honestly, I was living on the basement on that time. And my first floor, second floor, this all was everything for the sheet truck, everything. It was a remodeling. So it's not going to work. Then my liaison, Mr. Jonathan, who advised me, Mr. Sheikh, you can ask them again. But I said, look, I can do it, but it's very hard for me, even though email for me to, because that time it's not a small thing like you just painting or a small sheet track to put my whole house and my paper. I don't even know where. So I need a long time, but it's still they did. Then I asked for the Mr. Diaz, my auditor, which is, and then he gave me, I think, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. All together, 3 times, he gave me extension for 61 days, which wasn't enough. So as I mentioned, I was talking to my liaison, Mr. Jonathan Ackman. I said, I need straight 6 months. Even sometimes, not only that, because it took more than a year, honestly speaking, because when I was, whatever the expectation, my guys, when they started construction, I mean, reality is different, even though I have a contract, this and that, but sometimes you don't like the job. And it was dragging long time. So each time I was informed campaign, my liaison, auditor, but he just don't want to give me more than, he says, we give you 3 times. But I says, look, what you are giving me, this is not enough. I cannot even think, even though if you give me, I cannot do it. So then my liaison who advised me, Mr. Sheikh, and even though before my final deadline, when they gave me, before the final deadline, that before that, I also, again, I was requesting to my auditor. It's not like I passed the date and I asked them. Again, I said, look, I cannot do it. Can you please? He says, no, this is final. I said, this is final, but because of my circumstance, I mean, you need to do something special. I mean, it's nothing on my hand. You were telling me now, if you say, no, you cannot do it, but what can I do? Then I talked to my liaison, Mr. Jonathan Ackman, and who advised me, he said, Mr. Sheikh, do what you need to do. You just email them, email it to him, let him know you need it. You are asking the request, asking for another extension if he don't do it, but later on you can go to the board and board they're gonna taking care of you. As long as you keep the document like you are asking the day extension again, even though you cannot make it. So the board will taking care of you. So you don't have to kill yourself. Just leave it and you move on. So that is the reason I am requesting you this one totally. Please eliminate it. And as I say, not only that reason, right after that, because I was expecting my house is going to be finished within 6 months. It took, believe it or not, it took more than a year. So that happened. But and then after that, they had another special election also, which is IGM. And after that, I got sick because, as I mentioned previously, my wife is a physician. She also says, don't take a stress. But I was stressed myself. I said, I want to be everything neat and clean because I am the person. I want everything neat and clean. As I mentioned, my 2013 election, you're going to see not a single dollar I receive any fine because I was following everything in order. So then the doctor, even though my wife, sometimes I don't listen to her, sorry to say that, but my doctor who advised me, and he says, you need 3 months total rest. Don't even pick up the phone. Leave everything and just rest. You're too much stress. So, and after that, when the time came, and then I sent my documentation and I got that fine. So I am requesting board to please waive my full based on those excuse.
Thank you very much.
Just one small comment. I think the advice that I personally give is that the CFB staff does not have discretion to consider such mitigating circumstances as Mr. Sheikh is explaining, but that if he appears before the board, it is in the board's discretion to consider mitigating circumstances, not that that you'll take care of it.
Yeah, I think that's how I interpreted what Mr. Sheikh said. So, but thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm really appreciate for giving me that opportunity to speak in front of you for all these things. Thank you.
Very good. If there are no further questions, I think at this time we'll go into deliberations and we'll be back in a little while. All right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good. All right, so we're back again in public session. After deliberation, the board is going to make, or I'm going to make a motion embodying the following findings and proposed penalties for the candidate Hilal Sheikh. The following are the violations and proposed penalties that the board is proposing. 1, accepting an over the limit contribution, $250. 2, failing to document transactions, $50. 3, failing to demonstrate that spending was in furtherance of the campaign, $185. 4, making impermissible post-election expenditures, $586. 5, filing a late response to the draft audit report, $500, for a total penalty of $1,571. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. The next item of business is, hold on one second, I get back to the agenda. The next item of business is we need to consider ratification of general election payments. Amy, would you please describe that?
Certainly. On September 3rd, we issued payments for the general election in the Queensborough president race. We are asking the board to ratify the board's approval, the chair's approval of that. There were 2 payments made, one of $26,970 for Donovan Richards, and a second of $175,396 for candidate Dao Yin.
All right, will someone make that motion?
I move that we ratify the payments.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Amy, do we need a motion with respect to the collection actions?
We will deal with that in an executive session.
All righty. So the board will, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session and then adjourn directly from the executive session. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. The public meeting is now over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.